It seemed like third and short, fourth and short was your worst nightmare. And then you lose all of these linemen, and then last week your line plays maybe the best game of the year. And I know you got Josh Kaltenberger back, but you've got guys playing out of their natural positions. What changed for that unit that you were able to have the success you had last Saturday?
I think a couple of things. I think from a schematic standpoint, our offensive coaches have done a good job of identifying what works with this roster and what is realistic to ask them to do. Coupled with Hudson feeling healthy and being able to utilize him in the run game as well, and just our guys' willingness to go fight. That's what I was most proud of, especially up front. Like you said, we've battled adversity through injuries and like I said after the game, just playing musical chairs with who's at what position, and those guys' attention to detail and willingness to learn and put time and effort into multiple positions, to be able to communicate different looks and all those kind of things based on what's called. They played really clean in the run game, and as a result, we were able to get those short yardage first downs and run for 353. That's a big deal.
Speaking of adversity, when a college kid hears blood clots, that's a pretty scary thing, and especially if you rely on your leg for your position. Just kind of tell us about Freehill's process and patience to hopefully get back, and then obviously had a lot of success for you the other day.
Yeah, you're right. Like when we heard blood clots for the first time as a staff, we're like, that's, in my mind, and I'm not a doctor, but you're right. It does sound like a big deal. Had him see the specialist and gave him some time off. They also did like a minor procedure, and just when he was healthy and felt comfortable enough to kick, and he did, and as soon as it got to a point where there wasn't any swelling, when he would try to have those days where he would kick consecutively, then he was ready to go. And so I'm glad he is available now, and he's been doing a good job. I know he wants that one kickoff back that went out of bounds, but thought he otherwise did a really nice job.
I'm going to go to that. Is your idea there to try to make the return man have to decide, do I let this roll into the end zone?
No, that's not. It's not by design, believe me. We are trying to keep the ball in bounds. Nobody wants to put the ball in the air near the goal line and play more than me, I promise you. So we'll keep working on that and try to get it fixed.
Last thing for me is just what in the hell is the story behind this scary-ass Chucky doll that you guys come out to the field with?
That's you will not be seeing the Chucky doll anymore, I promise. I didn't notice it until we were right about to leave the tunnel and run on the field. And by that time, I thought if I would have done what I wanted to do, it would have been a distraction. So we have had that conversation, and Chucky will be put to rest.
Yeah, Ron, where's this offense been all year?
That's a loaded question, right? But I think there are a multitude of reasons, not really excuses, but reasons why we haven't been able to consistently perform the way we have, or the way we did on Saturday. One is just the health of the roster on offense, right? You got a new scheme, you got new faces, coupled with injuries throughout the season, and coupled with the type of opponents we've played. There isn't a team that we've played that has a losing record, and so I think there's the combination of those things throughout the course of the year, and those things happening at different times. It's hard to be consistent, and it's hard to improve when you don't have those consistencies throughout the week to week to improve. And so I think one, like Hudson being healthy and being able to utilize his legs, his improvisational skills, and then also having albeit thin, but like the same guys up front communicating with each other, having Tyrone and Mock healthy together again, Garrett Miller is getting healthier as the weeks go, and then having consistency on the outside with the wideout group for multiple weeks in a row. I think all those things kind of factor into being able to go perform and execute. Right, I've always believed in the plan schematically going week to week, and I just think we were able to execute that plan on Saturday, and as a result, it sort of looked like we all believed it to look and really looked like in practice.
You mentioned you haven't played anybody. Everybody on our schedules. Nobody on our schedule has a losing record. What did you think the first time you realized that? And I think one of our guys figured out the combined record of your opponents is 71-39 right now.
Yeah, I mean, everybody saw that preseason, right? Like, I think we're, by various accounts, had like one publication would say it's the toughest schedule in the country. The other one was like top 5. I'll be interested to see where it is at the end of the season. But we all knew like this was going to be we're going to be playing quality opponents week in and week out. We knew like the health of our team was going to be important, and we all knew our ability as a staff to adapt and adjust to the roster and what was going on week to week was going to be important as well. And so obviously the win-loss column is not what we wanted it to be at this point, but I do think that we have improved as a roster, we've improved as a program, not only on the field, but just the culture, the way we operate, the consistency with which we practice, the buy-in from the guys, just all the things that make up a program in order to have sustained success. I think those things are getting put in place, and we're just trying to finish out the season strong so that we gain some momentum and confidence going in to next year.
Nobody would dispute that Mockabee and Trace are two of your better playmakers. How often do you try to get both those guys on the field at the same time?
Yeah, I think that was part of the, whatever Graham and the offensive staff thinks is conducive to what we're seeing from the defense. If you have them out there at the same time too much, then they're both get tired, right? Like you like to have one of those two guys fresh and going in the game. But I do think it does add some problems for defenses if they have to worry about both of those guys out there at the same time.
I know you don't want no coach likes to get ahead of themselves, but there is, I guess, still a shot even at 5-7. Maybe you guys can get to a bowl game. Has that thought crossed your mind at all?
Not, a little bit. Right now, my thoughts are all on Northwestern. But it would be beneficial if we lucked into that. Obviously, you got to close out the season the right way in order to get that opportunity. But if it comes, that's added practices that are vital to the progress of your program. So would definitely help.
Ryan, at some point almost every week, you've been asked about how your team's mood was, energy after losses. I think it's fair to ask the same after the win. Was there any difference? Energy the same?
I mean, yeah, you win, right? Like you put a lot of effort and sweat equity into trying to come out victors, in a field of competition. So, everybody was obviously excited to see the results of what you worked hard for throughout the course of the week. But then again, Sunday it was like, okay, you put the game to bed. Now it's reset. Let's go do it again. So you get back refocused and not riding the high of success. It's back to putting your head down, going to work, and getting to know your opponent.
Speaking of your opponent, what have you seen from Northwestern that you guys need to focus on?
Yeah, I've been really impressed just throughout the year. Obviously, like they hit adversity more than anybody else did right from the jump with the coaching change and all the things that were surrounding that program. So I've been ultra impressed with the culture. You can tell those guys have rallied behind that staff, and you can tell that by the way they play. Like they play really, really hard, and they play with discipline. They play with detail. They play with a toughness and a physicality And so I've been impressed with just that on both sides of the ball and special teams, just the effort and the physicality with which they play. Offensively, they operate primarily out of 11 and 12 personnel, but they'll mix in, an extra tackle here for a tight end. They'll put two quarterbacks in there at times and give you a little bit of variety. They play extremely well and together up front. I think the running back runs really hard. The quarterback's got a good arm and he's consistent, and they got some wideouts that have some speed. The guy that transferred from Michigan in the slot can blow the top off of the defense. And then the two guys on the outside that do most of the playing are very consistent and don't drop a lot of balls and run clean routes. And so I'm impressed with the scheme they have on offense. On defense, they really rely on that second level. They've had a lot of experience. So most of the production kind of comes from that group, and I think schematically it's designed that way. They play with poise and fundamentals up front. And on the back end, they got one of their safeties is really, really physical and will get downhill and get downhill in a hurry. And when he gets to the ball carrier, he gets there with an attitude. And I've been impressed with him. And so we'll have to play the way we played on Saturday with that same type of effort, that same type of physicality, that same type of confidence. And so I'm excited to go compete on the road and try to, get two in a row for the first time this season.
More questions for Coach?
Ryan, 11 a.m. kickoff in Evanston. Probably not going to be a super big crowd or a great super electric atmosphere. Are you worried about maybe coming out flat? Given, again, it's probably not going to be a classic college football Saturday atmosphere. I thought it's crossed my mind. I'm definitely going to address it. But, again, anytime somebody's keeping score, you got to be ready to go. And got to be chomping at the bit. We didn't come off defensively didn't come off to a fast start this past weekend, but we're able to rally and get some stops when we needed them. And so, obviously, I've been there. I've played at their stadium, and I know what type of atmosphere to expect. But anytime, like I said, anytime the ball is kicked off and time is on the clock and somebody's keeping score, we got to be ready to go.
They've obviously gotten improved throughout the course of the year, and you've looked at them last year under Coach Fitzgerald, Pat Fitzgerald, and now with David Braun. How much have they morphed from what they did early in the season to what they're doing now? Do you see a big difference, or are they
not a huge difference? There's a couple of different guys that are playing. But I know Braun had a lot of respect for Fitzgerald. Fitz was one of the more respected coaches in this conference. And you kind of saw the locker room rally behind Fitz and campaign for Fitz. When that happened, and I guarantee you, just by the way they play, that locker room, that university is chomping at the bit to get that interim tag, pulled off. And so, I've already explained to our guys what type of psyche that locker room probably has. Just again with the physicality and effort that they play with, and them continuing to improve week to week. They've rallied behind him. And they're at 5 wins. They need one more with 2 games to go to get to a bowl game. So we're going to get their best effort, and there's no doubt. And that's because they give everybody their best effort, especially here lately. So, like I said, I'm excited for a 4-quarter, tough, gritty, grimy, physical, detailed game.
Anything else for Coach? All right, last question.
Just personnel-wise, Ryan, Daniel Johnson didn't play. What about Dylan Downey? He went off on a cart last week.
Yeah, DJ's a week-to-week deal, just with some of the things he's battling from an injury standpoint. And Dylan, I don't think was as bad as we thought it was, post-game. And so, hopefully he'll be ready to go with some good rehab.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you, guys.